On paper, the Dallas Mavericks have one of the most potent backcourts now with the addition of Kyrie Irving. But what do you think Kyrie's impact will be on a team that was seemingly okay without him?
I think his most notable impact will be when Luka sits down. They will not lose their their level of play with Kyrie still on the court. That's one of the biggest benefits that Kyrie brings to the Dallas Mavs because without a player like Kyrie, once Luka goes out of the game, the Mavs are subject to lose. It's just what it is. And if we're thinking about going deep in the playoffs, ending the season in the proper seeding, it's important that they have a player on their roster like Kyrie Irving who can carry the offense, even if it's just for while Luka sits down, to give Luka some type of reprieve. And I think that's really what they bought, really one of the reasons why the Mavs brought him over.
Well, I think yes, that along with Kyrie's championship DNA.
Yeah,
He adds another ball handler in the score, and as you
absolutely.
mentioned, he gives the second unit an offensive weapon, but
Hmm.
defensively not so much. When the
Oh
Mavs
no.
traded Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie, I said, okay, there goes their defense. The Mavs are not as good defensively right now, especially with Luka, who you know.
Mm-mm-mm.
And Kyrie doesn't play as much as well. But I think Kyrie Irving has a mutual respect for Coach Kidd, and that was the tipping factor of why he even chose the Dallas Mavericks. So, having an owner like Mark Cuban, who's very in your face, very involved, I think he will, kind of keep things running very smoothly, even though Kyrie is known to bring a lot of baggage and drama and all that with him. Hopefully, this is a fresh start.
Yeah, you know what? And if you think about Coach Kidd, he actually won a championship, and he won a championship with the Dallas Mavs in
Yeah.
2011. So I think that is important to mention, and I can understand why the respect level Kyrie has for Coach Kidd is there. It does make sense. I just think that the Mavs are weighing heavy on offense than they do on defense, right? They're banking on, and they put all their money in letting offense win them their championship. They do have some defense on their team. It's just maybe not as strong as other teams, but I think that's really what it boils down to. And as clever as Kyrie is, as crafty as Luca is, it's going to be a nice mix up for these teams. And I think that they're still a threat in the Western Conference, whether or not they have defense or strong defense, I would say. But I can also say that I really do like the way Reggie Bullock looks on the floor. I like him. And JaVale McGee look nice as well. So they have enough to compete in a couple of playoff series. And I think that's their offense that they're banking on. That's just what it boils down to. Now,
Hmm.
I do know that they still have, I think, a roster spot that they can claim. And I'm quite sure they'll pick up somebody in the buyout market. So let's see what this roster looks like. And whoever they pick up off the buyout market, will that give them an added defensive boost that they are currently missing? So we'll see what that looks like.
Yes, and we have said in previous videos that the Mavs were a one-man show when it was just Luka, though.
Yes,
Happy to say now with Kyrie, I
yes,
mean, now they got a couple of offensive weapons. And,
yes.
do you think there's anything missing still, even though they've made this big, massive trade for Kyrie Irving?
As I mentioned, it would be defense. It would be
Oh,
defense. I think that once they get that, this old saying goes, defense wins championships. I don't know if that's still valid today, but I do believe that it is important to have it because if you get a stop, the other person the team can score, and there you go, right? So I do believe that's something that is still missing, a major missing piece. And I know that I've heard and I've read articles where they may be interested in acquiring Terrence Ross. I don't know if he'll be able to help them or not in that arena, but we'll see how it works.
yeah, the missing piece for me will be Kyrie Irving in the offseason. I do believe this is just a rental of Kyrie
Oh
Irving
yeah,
until he gets another opportunity to join the
absolutely.
Los Angeles
Oh,
Lakers.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I'm talking about this season only, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we will not see a sighting in a Dallas Mavericks uniform for Kyrie Irving next season. Oh no, no.
No.
I venture to say it's going to be the Lakers uniform. I just that's kind of where I see it going. But for this season, what's going to be critical is how deep can they go into the playoffs? Can they make it back to the Western Conference Finals with Kyrie now being on the roster? It's possible. However, because the West is so competitive, with the trades that they've made,
Yeah.
making it to the Western Conference just with KD coming over to the West has really tightened the race. I think, for what a Western Conference matchup will look like for this conference. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, the Mavs are currently in the top 6. But for me, it's really how far they go in the postseason for me is whether or not Luka Doncic is healthy. I don't think if Luka is out and you just have Kyrie that the
No,
Mavs can go far.
no, 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 not at all. No,
Yeah.
the Mavs require Luca. He is
Hmm.
still the man. He may not be a one man show because now he has Kyrie there, but without him being in the show, it's a wrap. It is a wrap. Luca is the driving force on how far the Mavs go in the playoffs. It is Luca. It will always be Luca as long as he's on this roster. I see that the Mavs will maintain their top 6 spot. Now, where they land in that top 6, we'll see as the season ends. But they will be a solid playoff team come postseason. That's for sure.
Hmm.
For me, a successful postseason run is if they make it back to the Western Conference Finals. You cannot acquire Kyrie Irving and don't make it back to the Western Conference Finals. It wouldn't make sense to me. That means that this midseason trade was a bust when Luka was able to do without you,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So with the same coach and Luka being who Luka is, if they can't make it back to the Western Conference Finals with Kyrie on the floor, then what?
I don't think the Mavs will make it back to the Western Conference Finals, not this year, because as I mentioned before, it has to be Luka and Kyrie. And it's also how Luka will adjust to having a prominent ball handler score. He can get 30 on his own on a nightly basis. How will Luka share the ball? Because as we know, Luka is used to, putting up 25, 30 shots a game. And with a player like Kyrie in the backcourt, you got to share the ball. And I don't know how else to put it.